Okay, so hi there, I'm Caity Green.
And I'm Dan Green. And welcome to the Greening Out podcast. This is episode 2. And this is where we step out of the societal bubble and we actually navigate real life.
Yeah, so today we're sitting here Sunday afternoon. We're sitting here with our friend Therese. Hi Therese.
Hiya.
We're just hanging out. We're watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I know some of you that might sound a bit weird. But it's, it's on Netflix, and we liked it when we were young, so a bit of nostalgia. So what's happening is, we put on the very first episode, the pilot episode, and what happens in the pilot is, obviously, you find out the history of Will and how he gets to Bel-Air. And one of these theories, I don't know who came up with the theory. I'm so sorry I cannot reference the person who came up with it, but there is a theory that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is based upon the idea that Will died in that fight in the opening credits, right? So that's the theory, and he goes to purgatory. Well, sort of afterlife type place where he's all of a sudden living in luxury, and he's living with his aunt and uncle. And we were sort of talking about this theory, and then another relevant thing to say is that, Will's mum comes to visit him on occasions like birthdays, Christmas and things like that. Occasions that maybe you would go visit a grave, for example. So that's really interesting, and we were talking about it. And one of the issues that came up, and we thought it was really relevant to start recording, was Uncle Phil in the show. That actor recently passed away, actually. I remember that now. He recently died. The character he played on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air of Uncle Phil is, he's a judge. He is black, but they live an incredibly luxurious lifestyle that mirrors, not mirrors, but there's a great parallel to the reality that Will was living in back home. So we start talking about, race, and I said, me and Therese, I think I can speak to say, we are on the side of, it's empowering for a black man to be in that position of being in the court. And I believe, Dan, you said at some point during the show, not exactly sure when, but it comes up the subject of Phil actually going for the Supreme Court. And Dan had some interesting ideas about that.
I'm not sure it does. I think it does, but I'm not sure.
No, he does. He goes for Supreme Court judge later on. It's a couple of seasons.
What I'm going to do is, after we record this, I'm going to check that, and if it's false,
we can edit or whatever.
I can edit that.
So, the question.
So the question is, a black man in a great place of power, in a position of power, as being a judge.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Yeah. I mean, obviously, some people do. Some people like that. They like to start a bit of controversy. I think it's a good thing for a black man to be in that position.
Because you were saying that because they could maybe change things from the inside.
Yeah.
Yes, because
the best way to fight the system is to be in a place of power where you can change the policies that kept you under that whip all your life.
And basically, what else is being a part of it than quashing it? Surely that means it's the end of this oppressive system if the people it was oppressing are all of a sudden in there. Surely then it doesn't exist.
Well, right, I think we should add some context to this, because we're talking about, there's an early episode when Will thinks that Phil doesn't understand him.
Yes.
Right? And he's talking about Malcolm X and stuff like that, and it's like how Phil said when he was at college he heard, these guys speak.
Yeah.
And he understood the sort of black power thing.
Yes.
Right? So that's this kind of black power issue.
Yeah.
Right? That's the kind of racial... I don't think it's black power, I think it's wrong to say that. It's racial equality.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
So you're saying, why shouldn't someone that's like that's got that background of racial equality, want to get into the law to change things for the better?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Can I just point out, this is happening in the real world today with the Muslim and the Islamists that have joined the BNP.
Yeah, I don't want to get too off topic, but
it's the same issue. It's
example.
Just to lose
issue.
I'll just lose my train of thought. What I was going to say is like, so then
now you know how it feels.
there's still a whole lot of people. In fact, there's an overwhelming, I don't have the actual statistics, but an overwhelming amount of the population of prisons in America are young black men.
Yes.
Right, so what the conversation actually ended up getting down to, that's just the context that makes it, what the conversation got down to was, do you change something by joining it and changing it from the inside? I say no, and the argument I used was the Soviet Union, because there wasn't people that joined the Communist Party in Soviet Russia and brought it down from the inside. That's not what happened. What happened was massive non-compliance, and that's what I'm saying. We're getting back to Phil talking about, would Phil change things for his people by joining the system?
Right.
You know, and what I'm saying is not joining the system and trying to change it is the best idea. We're getting into anarchism, because what I'm saying is, let me finish this off. Right. I'm just saying, see, like, the Soviet Union is the best thing. It was not like, obviously what created the Soviet Union was a violent revolution, right? But what ended it was not, it was massive non-compliance. It was just massive and then you've got the Velvet Revolutions and like Czechoslovakia and stuff, it's just massive non-compliance. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And my idea,
non-compliance means sitting back and doing nothing about the problem and letting it continue.
You can't embed yourself in the system and change it. You have to just not comply with the system.
See, by non-compliance, are you talking about rising up?
No, voluntary non-compliance.
Right, so what would, in Uncle Phil's situation, he is, for example, say, still a slave. How's non-compliance?
Oh, everybody's is still a slave. When was he ever a slave?
Well, can I ask
you? He's never
in his history, this is what we're talking about.
I'm talking about him.
From my standpoint,
no, I'm only talking about him when he was younger. I'm not talking about his ancestors. I'm only talking about Uncle Phil. I'm not talking about his ancestors.
But his ancestry, clearly, as we go on through the series, has demonstrated that it's very important to him. Therefore, it is part of him and his character. But
the word slave is never used.
No, I don't. No, but we're talking about the ancestry.
Is that implied?
It's actually
it's implied that he's a slave. Well, say it is, but like, what's your question?
My question? I have no question. The point I was making is that because he has come from that,
right?
That makes him determined to over.
He has been taught all through his life by the other side of society that he will never amount to anything great. He will never be allowed to be anything great purely because he is a black man. So the best way to turn around to the system and say, screw you, I can do this and I will be bigger and better than you ever thought possible, is to go out and do the things that he's told he will never be able to do. Therefore, in his case, being a judge and being part of the system, because that then shows them that they were wrong.
Can I just bring up one thing? It's quite relevant, I think. Okay, so a point I'm going to make is, I know you were just talking about how him rising up from that sort of oppression that still exists in schools today, perhaps against children who are black. You know, that whole you'll never amount to anything sort of thing that I'm quite sure does still exist. The rising up against that is great, but what we have to do is, as people, is to eradicate the whole oppression to begin with. I mean, it's great if someone can rise up against that sort of thing, but we don't really want that to happen in the first place, surely.
But if they get into the positions of power, then they can show that it's a normalisation. From their position, show...
But I'm talking about teaching children. I'm talking about teaching children about equality and about we're all the same.
See, the thing is, children already know equality. Children are taught differences.
Oh yes, no, I know. And what I'm saying is, though,
I think we're getting off the topic, though. You know, we're talking about whether to get into something from the inside or not, or to totally disengage with it. I think that's the point. You have to disengage.
Well, you can never disengage.
Of course completely. You can. Of course you can. There's people that live off the grid and things like that. You can disengage. I'm not saying we have to disengage in society, but I'm saying that the only and in history, the only revolutions that have worked without killing lots of people and then installing totalitarian regimes have involved disengagement. Just disengaging, not becoming. You can't join the system and then change it from inside. There's no example.
Do you think that inside you thought you'd brainwashed?
See if you could give me one example of someone really that's gone inside like a political system and changed it from inside. I'd love to hear it, but it's either been violent revolution or non-compliance, and I'm against violent revolution, so it's got to be non-compliance for me. There just has to be non-compliance. It's happened. You can say there's no example. I can cite you many examples of non-violent revolutions.
I don't know. I haven't really.
There's been so many non-violent revolutions.
Because. And maybe this is just because Scottish independence is quite far forward in my mind just now. It seems to be all I'm hearing. But an example of the system being changed from the inside is the MPs that were down in Westminster that are now MSPs rather than just being in Westminster and them having their constituency in Scotland not being from the Scottish Parliament but being part of that Parliament. They now have their own place to be, and they were fighting from the inside to get it.
But it's all controlled because nothing changes. It's controlled opposition to me. It's like the Tea Party in America. That's controlled opposition, and that's what I think it is. Like, we have this whole debate. Let's just go on to this since we're here. Let's go on to because we're thinking of doing a series on this. So let's talk about Scottish independence, right? It's not Scottish independence. Of course, it's not, because you would still be part of the European Union, and the European Union runs on a bureaucracy, just like the Soviet Union did, and it's very similar to it. So for a start,
but we can vote out of it. Once we're our own country, we can vote whether or not we actually want to be a part of it. Same as, although we will still have the Queen as the head of state, because we will still be part of the Commonwealth.
That makes no sense.
We'll still be part of the Commonwealth. She's head of state. It's the same in all the Commonwealth countries.
So
she's the head of state in Australia. But
what I'm arguing is that's not independence. That's not what we're getting.
It is because we will then, although we have to keep that for a certain amount of time, we can then vote to not have it. But it can be the people's decision.
Right. The only way to work, right? The only way to work is if you have an independent Scotland, which I would like, right? That has got nothing to do with the European Union. It's not a part of the European Union, only a trading bloc agreement, right? Nothing to do with the Queen or England, and nothing to do with the pound.
But
because
the only way central we can get that is to first become independent.
It's fractional reserve banking that happens. We need to eliminate that. We can't have fractional reserve banking. It would need to be a currency that is based on either a gold standard or like more Bill Still's idea of not debt-based money, where like based on Abraham Lincoln's idea of the greenback notes, which he issued. That would only be working. See, everything else, it's not independence, because you're either dependent on the EU, or you're dependent on England, or you're dependent on someone else. It's not independence. So the whole debate's a lie.
I know the circumstances initially going into independence for the first couple of years will not be what we want them to be. We still have to write a constitution. That can't be written until we're independent, until we have referendums on what we do and don't want to happen. But the only way we can get the authority to make those decisions for ourselves as Scottish people is to actually get the yes vote for independence. The only way we can change it is to, I guess I'm kind of making your point here, the only way we can change it is to not be part of Westminster. But by the same token, we needed to be part of that in the first place to then gain our own government, to get to this stage where we can have the power to vote yes or no.
Okay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Therese.
Do you really?
That makes more sense to me.
What? Oh.
Originally we had to be on the inside to then break away from it.
See, I disagree, because I think if we're talking about voting, because that's what we're talking about. We're still talking about democracy, and we're talking about states. That's what we're talking about, and all we're saying is,
I don't want to
basically say for example, just put it this way: say you're voting for someone, right? And this guy's making everyone vote, and he's going to smack you if you don't.
Can I be really honest?
Yeah.
I don't want to be too much of a conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
Do you guys really think this is up to us?
See, this is where I was kind of going to go, but of course it's not.
I don't think...
Oh, is it? Fuck. This is a not... That's
They're
what I'm trying to say.
throwing
This is an illusion.
They're throwing a lot of statistics at us. The SNP are throwing a lot of yes statistics, and the opposing are throwing a lot of no statistics.
Yeah, but the
And
opposing
see,
are paid for by the
No, I know.
Tory party.
Well,
No, but
I'm
if not, you
saying
hear it either way though. Aye, like one side saying like the yes side are going, Scotland's
trying
going to be
to-
rich and we've got all this oil, right? And then see the no side. Then the no side are going like, no, we're all going to be destitute, living in a
The North
post-apocalyptic
Side
society.
is a fear campaign. It's to scare
Yeah.
people into wanting to stay
But
home.
all I'm saying is the whole thing's
They're paid
I'm
for
agreeing-
by
no.
Westminster.
I'm agreeing with Katie. Katie, I'm saying the whole thing's an illusion. That's what you're saying, aren't you? The whole thing's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, I just think it's smoke and mirrors is a great way to put it. Smoke
It's
and
not
mirrors.
Scottish
It's not going to make
independence.
any bit of difference whether you post on your Facebook all the time about how, yes. I just don't see how that's going to change anything.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to say, because that's why I was using the
Because
examples
the
of like.
decision, I'm sure actually, I think the reason why they're
See,
doing
the
this...
thing is, we do have the vote, right? We can vote yes, and the people can vote yes, and that be the verdict. However, Westminster can still veto it. And that's a fact that a
Yeah,
lot
so
of people don't know. And it's a fact that, on the converse, some people do know, and that's why they don't see the point in voting in the first place.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's what I've been trying to say. It's not independence. You're right. It's not independence.
I just don't see the point in thinking about it too much because I don't think it's anything to do with the Scottish people.
Of course not.
The people...
I would still
The people in charge are
say if I was going to vote, I
decision.
would still vote yes, obviously out of hope. But it's still a status model, and it's still tied to the international banks, whether it be the Bank of England. It's still tied to EU, so it's not an independent government.
The way I see it
and it's still
going...
tied to the monarchy.
The way I see it going
Still
is-
tied to statism,
the
and
way
I'm completely anti-statist.
Apologies.
You get out of this way.
I'd be like, now we're going on ad break, going back in 3 minutes.
Shut up!
Dude, if that was John, I was so putting him on speaker.
Who was it?
It was my gran, it's cool.
Right.
Right,
Can I start again?
of course.
Hang on, let me put
Let
this
me
on
try to do
silent.
that. What were we just talking about? What point was... I was going to make a really good point.
Oh
yeah, the way
It's going to be an
Yeah,
editing
go.
nightmare, but let's just keep doing it. But
Right.
it's going to be a fucking
You done?
pain in the arse, that's fine.
Yeah, it's done.
We'll have enough good stuff. We need to do enough good stuff for me
The way I...
to... Right, go.
Okay, the way I see it happening is, come September, we're going to do a vote, and who knows, maybe if there is such a thing as a democracy, and so maybe the yes vote goes through, I think we're going to have an initial sort of yay, and everybody's going to be partying, and it's going to be like back when Obama won, It's going to be like this big, we did it, yeah, we're going to be independent, and then I think the government are going to faff about for about 2 or 3 years with things that have to go through, and we're
2
waiting
years
on
to write the constitution anyway.
the checks in the post, that sort of thing. It's been done, just wait, and people are going to be waiting for a really long time.
See, my idea is like, it's still all statism. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter, it's just a different type of statism. But like
Yeah.
I said, you're tied to the EU, you're tied to, like, if you use the pound, you're tied to a central bank, an English central bank, a debt. Every pound that's created creates debt with it. So, like, in my opinion, if we're going to be independent, it would have to be a stateless society.
And that's it, folks. That's how you get from race to Scottish independence in under 20 minutes.
It's unbelievable, but... Right, well, what would you say about, like, say a Scottish constitution? Right?
Which has to be written if we get
So,
independence,
right,
yes.
say there's a yes vote, right? Say there's a yes vote, right? And you're saying, like, so the Queen will still be the head of state,
Yes,
right? So there's a yes vote and the Queen is the head of state,
yes.
right? So let's just take this apart, right? So, yes vote, the Queen's the head of state. What's this constitution going to say?
How do you mean?
Like, what's this all about? Like, the Queen's the head of state, so...
I wouldn't like, but it's the same way that it works in Westminster. Yes, we get to vote on laws. We have referendums on certain issues.
But
But
how
at
often
the
do we have
end
a
of the day-
referendum? Pretty much never.
Hang on. But at the end of the day, no new law can be passed unless the Queen signs it. That's
Yeah.
the way that the establishment works at the moment. And that's the way it will work with Scotland until we then get to the point of we can have a referendum as to whether or not we still want her to be head of state. She's the head of state in Australia too, but
yeah, I know, and
in every
there is
other
a
Commonwealth
movement.
country.
There is a movement to get rid of her there. I understand, but like, it just there's no way like we can't call it independence. We're lying to ourselves. Do you not think so?
We're not free in the first place. We're lying to
we're not
ourselves
free
when we
right
say
now,
we're a free
so-
state.
Yeah.
Because we still have to answer to the Queen and that just now. So, yeah, okay.
You think it's like a step in the right direction?
Yes.
Do you think?
I agree with that statement. I think, it is a step in the right direction. But on the other hand, I have such a problem. We're not free right now. Nobody is free.
Of course not. Yeah.
We are under this thing. We have to pay money every single month for our TV license. We have to pay money for the BBC. Wait.
But hold on, I need to get this out there.
Hold on, can I just finish?
Yeah, sorry, on you go.
Please finish and then Therese
Finish
will
it.
talk. Sorry. We have to pay 35 quid a month for the first 6 months, and then after that it's like 12 quid a month, right?
For the TV license.
12 pounds, sorry. For the TV license that goes to fund the BBC.
Yeah.
Now, me and Dan do not watch the BBC. We have nothing to do with the BBC. We do not even watch BBC Player on our computer, and somehow we have to watch this now. I have a feeling I know what Therese is going to say, but I'm going to hand it over to her because I'm going to let her say it because she will say it more emphatically and correctly than I will. Therese, go.
Right, okay. There's a fact that a lot of people really need to know, and that is that the TV licence is illegal.
I've heard this, yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
You do not have to pay for your television licence. We have brought the TV licensing board into our house when they have turned up, showed them that we are watching Sky, we pay for our Sky and that we are receiving that legally, and it's because the TV licence is illegal under the EU Constitutes Article 82 and 86.
We will verify that. And, yes, we will.
Trust me, I have verified this, but quoting these laws, we were able to bring the TV licensing board in, show them that we were watching TV, and get told that we no longer had to pay for it. A couple of weeks later, we got an exemption slip through the door just claiming we had no TV set. A couple of months ago, after we moved into our new property, we had the same thing again. Oh, you haven't paid for your TV licence. Quoted the same things, and the guy's like, oh, I don't know, I'll need to go and check with my supervisor. Now before that, before I quoted all that to him, he had turned up on our door, I'd say, once a month for about 4 months, and it was really getting beyond a joke. Hence why I quoted what I did to him. Funnily enough, after that, didn't turn up again. Never got another letter from the TV licensing board, and no one has come after us for that £1,000 fine. And we have not paid for our TV licence in coming up on 4 years.
Quite rightly so. I think,
I was just going to say quickly, I feel that I should mention that Therese's views and opinions are completely her own and do not reflect the views and opinions necessarily of the Greening Out podcast.
But agree, disagree, and that's it. We both agree with you. No, you know what? I have to say,
I really couldn't help myself.
I'm going to say it.
I also have to point out,
fucking A, because that's amazing.
we're not the only ones that have got away with it. Now, my fiancé can be
Your
a bit of a
Beyonce?
Your
Beyonce!
Beyonce, you have your own Beyonce. There's shiver rumors that like a dog.
I have my own Beyonce. She's in there.
So like a kind of voodoo doll.
Right, let her continue. Her Beyonce.
Right, we're being all serious.
Her husband to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're in the middle of
My
a serious political
husband-to-be
conversation.
can be very politically minded to a fault. Loudmouth and very impassioned about his views. Let's say that's putting it nicely.
That's like no one that
what
cares.
that's like.
Nah, no, that's like.
So, a lot of people turn off to him when he's saying, oh, that's illegal, this is illegal, you should stand up for your rights, you don't have to do this. But my brother-in-law, his brother, decided to take a chance.
Your potential brother-in-law.
Yes, potential brother-in-law, whatever.
I'm just picking for fun.
Common law.
Anyway, he decided to take John's advice on this occasion and try it. Wrote a letter, told him he wasn't paying for it, quoted the right EU statutes, and he too, a couple of weeks later, received his exemption in the post.
well, I'll be trying this.
No, I'll be giving this a go. You're fucking right. I'll definitely give this a go.
I'm not paying them £35
Like-
a month if we don't have to, if
like-
it's illegal.
See if that works, then fuck yeah, man.
And in
then-
the next couple of years,
then-
it is becoming optional anyway. There is a referendum in the next couple of years
Ah.
to decide whether or not.
Never
The
have
next couple of years, you
referendum.
mean like this year?
So, guys, I think we brought up a lot of really amazing points. And I think that maybe we should do, you know, maybe some future shows about this sort of stuff, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Things like I think we could all.
Your rights. We should do something about
I
people's
think-
rights. I don't think people know their rights enough.
I think we
for
can all
that,
agree
I'd
that,
like to
like-
bring in John. He's
John
good
knows
for that.
a lot about people's rights.
Like, you know, as well, we're thinking like about like tax and how. Let's basically just lay this out right now. All tax is oppression and violence. It's no different than.
Tax is terrible.
Well, it's no different than like the
I don't agree
mafia.
with government though.
The national insurance still counts as a tax, and I like my free healthcare.
Yeah,
We were going to talk about this though, but that's another show. I
That
don't
is
want to
totally
go into
another show. But we should talk about tax, especially council tax. Council
Council
is
tax,
the
I feel,
worst.
is a total. We are actually, me and Dan are in a position right now where we are under our wages, well, what's called a wages arrestment.
Arrestment.
Oh, we got round that too. I can show you all that.
Well, we will be getting into that in your rights show.
Because they tried to arrest my wages and we quoted a bunch of shit at them, went back to Glasgow City Council, dealt with them directly, and they called off the sheriff's office and we pay a $5 a week.
Well, we'll do it right.
Do you want to know how much we pay to our council tax a month, listeners?
Mm-hmm.
Should we tell them how much we pay?
Not right now, but let's just say that we'll actually do it. We'll talk about rights and we'll bring you back and we'll do it. And we'll just talk about how to get around these kind of things.
Yeah.
I think it's important
It's
to
not
throw that
even
shit on
getting
the
round these things, it's knowing your rights.
It's knowing your grammar, having the grammar to back up.
Yeah, your logic and rhetoric later on.
Yeah, you need grammar, logic, and rhetoric to make any sort of decision. And things,
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
No, I totally agree. So, I just want to kind of wrap up the last couple of minutes here. We've covered a lot of subjects.
A lot of different topics.
Incredibly relevant topics.
A lot of heavy topics.
Yeah. And things to get more into in the future.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll sort of... And do you know what? I said at the end of the previous show, in the introduction, please get in contact. If you agree with something, email us and say, yes, I like that, keep talking about that. If you don't agree with something, email and say, fuck you, I don't like you and I don't like your opinion. I don't care, just as long as someone is listening and we have to get people thinking in order to talk about these things.
I'm sure we could set up a Skypey way of
Skype,
doing this.
yeah, Skype is amazing.
So I was going to say is like after the last episode,
Yeah.
so now we've got greeningoutpodcast.co.uk.
Yeah.
It's the website, and you can go there. And we've also established now a second-hand bookshop.
Yes, we have some
we've got a
really,
lot
really good stuff on there.
Yeah, there's also donate buttons, so you can donate if you like, or you could buy a nice second-hand book and it helps support the show.
Yes, we do. We pay monthly for this show. A lot of work, a lot of time goes into it, and we appreciate anything. I don't care if it's a penny.
The shop works through PayPal as well, so you can buy securely.
Anything else relevant business?
Nothing else I'll go with this thing, because we didn't have, when we recorded the last episode we put on, we didn't
have our website up yet, yeah.
So yeah, www.greeningoutpodcast.co.uk.
Therese, thank you for being here.
It was a pleasure.
This happened very suddenly, but I was glad this conversation happened.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.